we're here at Busboys and Poets, and we're going to start in a few minutes.
Yeah, right. I just came to say good luck for all county.
Thank you. Thank you. So happy you're here. Don't do that.
All right, it is now on. If you press the button again, it'll mute itself.
Testing. Testing. Hello.
Perfect. You're awesome.
Hey folks, thanks so much to everyone for joining us here. We've got an awesome presentation today from people who I get the sense that some of you have heard of. And who all three of them have amazing pedigrees and are going to be speaking about a really amazing cookbook, That Time We Ate Our Feelings, because that focuses on the importance of food to bring comfort and care to yourself and to others, which I think is really what we all need right now. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over because I'm really looking forward to hearing what they all have to say. And let's give a round of applause to Lisa, Jessica, and Bob for being here. Thank you all so much for being here as well, and take it away.
Are you on? Are you on?
There we go. Hello. Welcome to Busboys and Poets. I'm Bob. I'm from the Bob Cesca show, and also, is this sounding okay? And also the Stephanie Miller show. Man Meet Wednesday is the show that I'm on. I'm one of the various man meets. And of course, we're all here to celebrate That Time We Ate Our Feelings, which is this wonderful collection of recipes. But before we begin, just a quick word about why this book and its authors are so important. Like I think most of you, I follow politics 24/7. And in fact, I do it as my job. That's how stupid I am. But anyone here familiar with the comedian Stephen Wright? Stephen Wright, he was very popular in the 80s, had a great album out called IPPY. Well, he used to tell this joke. You know that feeling when you lean too far back in your chair and you almost fall over backwards, but you catch yourself in the last second? He said, I feel like that all the time. But that's exactly how we all feel following the news, just following what's happening in the world these days. And it feels like leaning too far back in your chair and almost falling over and breaking your neck. That sort of, I don't even know how you would describe it. That kind of adrenalized stress that comes with the constant existential threat, whether it's from a dictator or a pandemic or a dictator presiding over a pandemic. It's just not fun. So thank goodness for the comfort food recipes in this book, the nurturing, healing collection of food that I hope we all enjoy. And so one of my favorite people in the whole world was Anthony Bourdain. And he once said, anyone who cooks, anyone who writes a cookbook, in my view, they're on the side of the angels. Well, we have two angels right here today, Debriana Mancini and Lisa Lucas. Please give them a warm welcome.
That made me cry. Thank you. I have my own bleach here. I came prepared. So, I carry my own since the pandemic. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We're beyond thrilled to have you all here. And thank you so much to Busboys and Poets for hosting us. It's an incredible adventure. This has been an incredible journey. And thank you, Bob, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here.
It's crazy.
Right.
What do you want to say?
I just wanted to say thank you so much for your support and coming out to support this book and us. It means a lot. This thing did not happen without people like you, our micro food community. We didn't even know what that meant. We first started this thing that we started, and it just, it has a life of its own now. So it's very exciting. Thank you. Really appreciate you.
I'm one of those idiots who, when I was on Corona Kitchen, I didn't actually prepare any food. Do you remember the first time I was on?
Yes,
the
I do.
Yeah, and so Debrianna contacts me and she says, do you want to be on Corona Kitchen? I said, well, of course I want to be on Corona Kitchen. I would love to. And she said, then the other shoe dropped and it was, what do you want to prepare on Corona Kitchen, Bob? And I said, I don't have anything. I don't even know. There's no way. So I said, well, what I can do is I can come on and I can say stupid shit, which is what I also do for a job, is I say stupid shit on a podcast. So I said, so that's what I did. I came on the show. You made ravioli, which looked incredible. And I sat there for the entire, whatever it was, hour.
Yeah.
And I said stupid shit.
Yes, in those days, we could be on the air for an hour or two because nobody was doing anything. I mean, nobody, we were all just trying to figure out how to cope with the pandemic. So if people didn't cook, you weren't the only one. I would just ask, what's your favorite food? And I'll just make that, or Lisa will make that. And that's what we did. And because we were in the time of trying to comfort people in a time where we had no freaking idea what was going on.
Was that the original idea behind doing Corona Kitchen? Did you sort of set out to do that? I mean, how did the whole idea for the show start?
Okay. If you're seated, and then you can enjoy the story. I'll try to make it brief. Debrianna and I have known each other for, I don't know, like 12 years.
Or 4 lifetimes.
Or 4 lifetimes. Or we were definitely soul sisters in another lifetime, that's for sure. We have so many similarities, it's not even funny. But we, all of us, our lives were so busy pre-pandemic. I was worked to the bone. I'm a television producer, writer. Debrianna is an actress. You may have seen her in Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Crazy Heart.
You can clap for Breaking Bad.
I have 2 Emmys. I don't admit this often, but I was one of the original writers on The Bachelor, and then there you go. Anyway, it follows
Don't
me.
tell anyone.
It follows me wherever I go. I can't get rid of it. Anyway, so we knew a lot of people, and what's really funny is when we say that, Bob, one of the reasons why we asked you was because none of the celebrities were doing anything during the pandemic. And we were like, well, if we just ask, maybe they'll come on the cooking show. And we got a whole bunch of them, including you. So it's really great because everybody was game for whatever. But so Debrianna calls me up, we're in lockdown, and I'm just like, I've never had so much time to myself in my life. I don't even know what it's like to sit at home. I have no clue. So she calls me.
I was like, this is crazy. I was about to leave on a solo tour to London. I had my show booked at the New Orleans Food Festival, and everything shut down. And so I'm like, well, what I do when I'm stressed out is I go to the kitchen. And my husband, I don't know why he doesn't weigh 700 pounds. Because I don't actually eat much sweets or I just love to bake. So I was like, well, I know Lisa likes to cook. I mean, we would only see each other at protest marches. That's where we would usually see one another. And I knew she liked to cook. So I just called her and said, hey, do you want to just cook live on Facebook and see if anybody joins us? And that was really the beginning. We thought, well, we know how to make food. We can help people who didn't know how to use what they have in their kitchens, that were lonely, that we didn't know how long anything was gonna happen. So I just called her and she said, sure.
So I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm a TV producer. I'm like, once a week. Well, she's like, how about I go on Tuesdays and you go on Thursdays? I'm like, okay. So next thing you know, we are cooking every other night for 143 nights. In a row. And I was like,
in a row. We never stopped.
Can we take the weekends off? I'm exhausted. But the thing was the community started building and building, and people just really needed to cope. I'm sure you all remember it was lonely and hard and weird and scary. And so we just kept going for all the followers. And then we had this carrot cake that went viral. Next thing you knew, we had thousands of followers all over the world. We're like, what is happening? What is actually happening here? And I think it's just because, well, we were sharing our individual stories. You know, I'm Croatian, I'm 100% Croatian, Debriana is Italian. We had all this, you know, cultural similarity. We were talking about our love life, we were talking about our work stuff, we were talking about politics, and we were just really being ourselves, you know, and we never compromised that.
No, we were in our kitchens like everybody was.
In sweats, all the time.
Wearing whatever we had. We're like, yeah, this is what's growing in my garden. You want to see me use it?
Dressed in
We were just-
knapsacks and things as if you're like,
Yeah,
you were wearing a barrel.
yeah, trad wives.
Whatever we had available.
We were just doing what y'all were doing, you know, and then we're like, look, I found sugar. What do you want to eat tonight? I mean,
We actually found it, yeah.
we found flour. I mean,
Nothing was available at the time.
no,
Yeah, you couldn't
nothing
do it.
was.
So
So
there's another aspect to it too, and I know for working people, at least this was for me. I hadn't cooked a meal, and I'm going to be full disclosure about this. I'm shaming my grandmother right now. Please don't hate me. But I don't think I had cooked a really serious thing in like a year or more, and I was just buying stuff and I saw myself at Thanksgiving only like making my famous cranberry sauce, and that was it. And I'm like, what if I have lost? I have lost. Food is a chore. It's exhausting. I don't have time to do this. I'm being worked to the bone. I got 2 kids I got to put through school. I'm a single mom, you know, all this stuff. And so I was just like, I lost my love of food and making food, and it made me depressed, you know, and I put that in the back of my mind. And then Debriana, by doing this project for me, I got my mojo back, okay? Food is a relaxing, loving, nurturing, amazing thing, and everybody should have the time to do it, and everyone should have fresh, amazing, from scratch comfort food to give other people. It's just love. It's pure love, and she gave that to me as a friend. I had lost it. I had completely lost it, and I regained it through doing this project with you. So I don't want to cry right now, but I will always be grateful to you for that, because I didn't think I was going to get it back. I didn't know where it was going, you know? And I think a lot of us felt that way because we finally got a pause in our life.
When did the comfort food concept emerge? Was that part of Corona Kitchen? Was that kind of the idea that we're going to make things that will help people cope with, as I was saying before, the feeling that everything is about to collapse and everything is chaos, and this food can actually be a source of nurturing comfort.
Yeah.
And was that part of the initial idea of Corona Kitchen, or did that emerge later on?
I think that emerged later on. I think we were in the beginning just cooking with what we could get. Because everybody couldn't get flour or sugar or, you know, butter or, you know, we were just all trying to cope. So we were teaching people like, well, if you can't use this, use that. And then we started thinking, well, what are the things we all want? I mean, people were eating, you know, like everybody started baking bread. So we're like, let's figure out what we can make with the bread. And that's
Try if you were afraid, you know, and we're kind of like, you know, the odd couple of like Debriana, I consider a chef level myself. I'm kind of just like on her coattails, and I have some good recipes, but like, you know, I made mistakes. We had, you know, we were real people trying to navigate, you know, seeing if we could make something work. But the title of the book, That Time We Ate Our Feelings, is really, you know, pertinent to this too, because I think we were like, oh, let's go to the food of our grandmothers, of our family. When we were little, we felt real comfort, you know, and that was definitely a part of it too. Like, I'm gonna make this thing I haven't made in 30 years. Let's make it, see if it works. You know, it's kind of a surprise too.
I actually ended up confusing my mom about the title of the book. I said, yep, Sunday night I'm going to this event for That Time We Ate Our Feelings. And she said, when did you eat your feelings? And why is there an event about that time you ate your feelings? And I didn't literally, it's the name, okay, let's start from the beginning again. But that was fun. But the theme of the book is so appropriate. It's so timely. And just going through the different titles of the recipes, that's one of the things that I found so compelling about it, is each recipe has its own affirmation or its own sort of context of comfort and healing. Like I think there's one recipe that starts out by saying, everything's gonna be okay, and then the name of the dish.
Or like my grandma's zucchini bread, she swore would get rid of all your problems.
It's incredible.
It's true.
You all came up with 150 of those.
True.
150 of those titles, and that is an incredible feat, because they all mean something. And they're all, I think, important in some way beyond just the recipe itself.
Thank you.
So when you were doing Corona Kitchen, did you end up having to also do tech support for people? Oh, I tried to make boeuf bourguignon and it was a disaster. What did I do wrong,
Yes.
Debriana? Can you help me?
Yep, we
And-
helped a lot of
and you-
people.
Yeah, so
Cool
that you-
thing- That's the cool thing about live streaming, is that, people could be cooking at the same time, or
Mhm.
they made it last week and here's what went wrong, and we would discuss it, you know what I mean? So just having that direct connection to the audience.
Oh, we also did a cook-along.
Oh, yeah, the cook-along.
We sent
Fried
out,
chicken.
yeah, the fried chicken buttermilk sandwich cook-along. We sent out, people signed up to do it, we sent them the ingredients, and then we did like a live stream that was just us, everybody cooking together. So any problem, everybody was on together. It was just like a way to connect to everybody. And before I forget, I do want to give a shout out to Stephanie, because we poached a lot of her talent.
Stephanie Miller.
Stephanie Miller, including a lot of the people in the audience today.
Just show of hands, who listens to the Stephanie Miller show? Everybody here.
Hey, shower people. Okay, so that's the other thing, Bob, is that, we were also really unfiltered, and, our politics were part of that, our belief system, and we just didn't want to compromise any of that, and we could still wear our little retro aprons and be feminists and care about the planet and people and believe in equality and, all that kind of stuff. But we were coming in a package that people didn't really know what to do with.
Talk about going from doing studio projects, network projects, where you've got 1,000 people telling you what you can and can't do, to doing something entirely on your own, where you could control all the different aspects of it.
We are the network.
We own the network.
We own the network.
We own the network. Ownership is where it's at. The thing is that, I think, as a television producer, I have to say, I've pitched hundreds of projects in my life, and 90% is a no. 90% of things that you pitch is a no. If you get something greenlit, as a writer, 20% of what you originally write ends up on the screen. It's depressing. You don't have a lot of control over your own, work, and so when you do it that way. But these are the days we can make our own stuff. So we try to empower people through what we've done. It's just like, you know what? If you don't see it out there, make it yourself. Make it yourself, because we need everyone's voice,
I don't know if you saw the statistic about corporate CEOs. The number of women in high-level corporate positions has actually diminished. So that is not comforting. So we're happy that we.
And the fact that you're sort of a feminist creative power duo, that is, I don't know if power, I guess that applies, yeah.
We're a quirky duo.
Yeah, but that's
what they call
all
us.
wound
That's what they call us,
into the entire project. That idea, that central concept of who you are as people, and where you come from, obviously, and the things that you brought with you. Were you both influenced heavily by anyone in your family as far as cooking goes, as far as your love of preparing food? Did that come from your grandmother, your great-grandma? I know, Lisa, your great-great-grandmother's mentioned.
If you look at the introduction of the book, I think about 15 Croatian relatives. Debriana thanks her husband, who's Italian and amazing, and we could not have done this project without David.
Yeah. He's
But
the other person on our crew. We have a camera person who lives in my kitchen.
I don't have any crew, it's just me. Sometimes if I can get my kids to do it, they will, but, yeah, I mean, I'm 100% influenced from my family. And we talk about this in the stories in the book for sure. My mother just, I think always wanted more. You know, she was a daughter of immigrants and, you know, forced in the 50s to be like the perfect family and let's be American, let's not have any ethnicity from our origins or anything like that. And so, you know, my grandma was like making Jell-O and she was like, Mom, why are you making Jell-O? That's just, you know, that's not even what we do. She's like, why, we have to be American, you know? And so, and then when I grew up, I was, you know, a documentarian, and I was saying my grandma, who I was very close with, who lived to be almost 100 years old, you know, she had her mind till the end, and I was like, you know, what are the recipes? You know, let's go back to like how you did it in the old country, and you know, let's do this by hand. And I remember, you know, making strudel, watching all the women in my family and the generations with a broomstick rolling the phyllo dough on the dining room table. And I got to be a part of that. And I got to be a part of their stories and the way, you know, that's where they had all the lady talk, you know, and I really wanted to be a part of that and hear all the gossip and all the fun stuff and laugh with them. And those are my most precious memories of my childhood with the food.
Hey, Debriana, you must have had an Italian mama, right? I mean, I did.
Yeah, no.
Doesn't everybody have it? No, not everybody.
Yeah.
Some of us do. Very, very lucky in that regard. But tell us about your origins as far as your love of cooking.
Well, I grew up in a family with a single mom who was, I'm first generation here, and everybody cooked in my family, on my mom's side, everybody. My grandmother had like 15 kids, 11 of them made it to adulthood, and everybody on my mom's side of the family cooked. And we grew up, we were poor. I tell a story about growing up on food stamps in the book, and my mom was not stopped by any of that. She was like, if we want to have chocolate mousse, we're gonna make it. And we figured out how to make it. We made everything from scratch. We made our own bread, we made our own cookies. We had too many kids, so we couldn't afford yodels. So we made them. We got one day a week where we would get like a packaged thing, but everything else we made. So I just grew up knowing how to make everything. And that's what I did. I mean, I didn't know any different. So by the time, like, I think our town got like a Burger King, and my sisters really liked it, and I could not abide it. I got the ham and cheese sandwich at Burger King. I was like, no, I want to go to the place that grills the real food. That's how I've been all my life. And so for me, it was just, to walk into a kitchen is the most natural thing in the world. So I was so glad I was able to bring that back to your life.
Just out of curiosity, what part of Italy? Because I know there's different cuisine from different parts of Italy. Like, my family comes from northern Italy, which is very heavy on things like fish and polenta. My grandmother used to make polenta by cutting it with the string.
Yep.
I remember this vaguely,
Yep.
but yeah. But which part of Italy?
Well, I recently found out, so my family came here and nobody would talk about it, except the only thing I heard in my family was before the Germans took all our money. We were rich and the Germans took all our money. And we were like, sure. Nobody believed my mom. And my mom had this really weird last name in Italian that I never heard anybody have. And we all thought she made it up. So my husband, who is weirdly related to Liberace, has become obsessed with his finding out his ancestry. So I got pulled into that, and we started looking stuff up. My mom's last name was Chiaia. And all of a sudden, this luxury hotel chain called the Chiaia Luxury Hotel Chain pops up from the middle part of the boot, like in the Puglia region.
Oh, okay.
Which is where all the food that I know how to make comes from. So I was like, maybe I'm related to them. And they really did steal our family money. So then I see Chiaia Boulevard going along the coast of Italy. And I'm like, nobody has that name except my mom and her family. So I'm like, oh my God, I have to go over there. So go ahead.
There's definitely something there with that, maybe an investigative type of TV show or movie. We'll see how this whole book thing works out.
Should I tell them about the production team?
Well, we were thinking about starting a production company called
Wasted Beauty Productions.
I like that.
And I have to tell you, it's from my
Tell the
dad.
story,
My
tell the
dad.
story.
Okay, yeah,
Tell the
we were doing the book tour on the West Coast recently, and I decided to call my sister from Solvang. I don't know if any of you've been to Solvang, but it's a great town. So we were in Solvang, and I was having coffee, and I called my sister, and she's like, "Have you talked to Dad lately?" I'm like, "No." She goes, "Well, you should call him. I think he's not feeling well." So I call my dad. I'm sitting out in the sun. I'm like, "Dad, I'm on this book tour. I can't believe it. It's crazy how many people are coming to these book events, and I can't believe that after all this time, I'm getting famous for cooking." And he goes, "Yeah, all that wasted beauty."
Wow. Thanks, Dad.
I fell out laughing. I thought it was the funniest thing I ever heard. And I came back to Lisa. I'm like, "That's our production company."
And the production company is entirely about doing new media that transforms into old media.
That's right.
So you start with a streaming show and then you go to publishing a paper book.
I mean, 100%. Brianna and I come from each we're the eldest of families of all girls. I have 5 sisters. Brianna has.
I had 5 sisters. Yes.
So we're like, huh? What's that all about? So, just being born female, you're already just waking up angry every single day. There's that. But we have a lot of dreams still. And the other thing I want to add to this is, we're of a certain age. We're in what I'd like to call the third act of life.
The wasted beauty stage.
Beauty stage. And what's really exciting about this whole experience is that I feel like we're just getting started. I feel like, had the kids, did a lot of career working for other people, and we're owning this right now, and it is so awesome. I'm here to tell you that you can do this too. This is the best is yet to come, people, and I really feel it, and it's wonderful. It feels so good because society says,
Is there a central, is this working? Can you hear me? Is this? Hello.
You want to use ours?
Here, use ours.
There we go.
Okay.
Just decided not to work. Is there a central philosophy or idea behind why comfort food is actually comforting? Is there something, what is it about comfort food that makes it comforting? Is there something about it? Is it the process? I mean, for me, I think of comfort food as anything I can eat with a giant spoon. And because I just want to shovel it into my mouth because that's comforting. But there's got to be something more to it than the ease of sticking it in your mouth.
Calories.
More than that, yeah.
Well, the taste, but also, I have to say, when I was a kid and I would be sad or something, my grandmother would say, "Let's make bread." Okay, when you don't feel good, knead the dough. And I just remember kneading the dough, and then afterwards I would feel better, and she would give me a big hug, and then we'd eat the bread with butter and yum, and everything turned, the frown turned upside down.
Yeah, I think it's largely in the way that it's given to you. Because it can be anything.
Yeah.
I mean, people have very different ideas about what comfort food is, and for me, oftentimes it's a cup of tea. And it's because when my grandmom was upset or my mom was upset, we'd sit down and have a cup of tea.
Yeah.
So in some ways, it doesn't have to be food, although we often say fat carries the flavor. My grandma was always the one who said, "Eat everything real in moderation." And so it didn't really have anything to do with what you were eating. It was who you were eating with. and why you're eating it.
The other part of that is, I don't know about you, if you've had anybody in your family that's a little standoffish, maybe a little cold, maybe a little not huggy. Talking to you, Mom. I adore my mother. I adore her, but she was never a hugger person. You know, she's always really kind of a little bit standoffish. But when she made food, it was the most incredible act of love. And when I ate that food, she put everything into it, and I could feel it. You know, I still can feel the food, the love that my mom puts in her food to this day.
That's one of the reasons why.
Hello. That's one of the reasons why I quoted Bourdain initially, because he was a strong believer in the nurturing nature of preparing food for someone. Like, there's nothing better than you can do for someone else than to give them something that will give them energy and happiness and a break from their lives for a second, sit down and enjoy a meal. And that's so
It's
important.
chemistry, Bob.
Yeah.
You can watch somebody who's had a hungry child or a cranky husband or whatever, you know, and your mood is upset.
Yeah.
And then you eat the good food, and then all of a sudden you're transformed.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's a physical, chemical reaction too, you know?
And speaking of the chemistry of it, that's what always fascinates me about cooking is it's essentially science.
It absolutely is. Yeah.
As chefs yourselves, how do you approach when you're preparing something? Is it much more scientific, like by the book, or is it much more spontaneous and improvised? Where are you on that spectrum?
When we were writing the recipe part of our book, like the actual physical recipes, our publisher or editor at the time was really strict with us. You cannot write pinch, you cannot write dash. And we're like, and Lisa's
I don't measure anything.
For measuring
I
nothing,
measure
she measures
nothing.
nothing. And I'm teaching her, no, there's a difference between the dry measure and the wet measure.
And I'm like, what? What?
And I like to measure just because I like math, and I don't know if y'all know this, but girls can't do math, which was what I was told. And I love measurements and fractions and watching the chemistry of stuff. So I enjoy that, but I'm also fly by the seat of your pants girl, and I think the only reason I can do that is because I grew up unafraid in the kitchen, and I know the palette that I have is wide, so I can think about flavors and figure out how to put them together. So I think that, just measure if you're unsure. But, I measure and then sometimes I don't.
It's a lot of trial and error too. I mean, I think when you get more confident and you get, at least for me, and I get a recipe that I really love and I know it's gonna work because I did measure, especially with baking, which is total chemistry. You really can't do the improv with baking, but you can with other things. And unless you get.
What is it about baking? Why can't you
Well,
improvise
because
in baking?
there's literal chemistry to it. Like if I'm making like a popover, like a Dutch baby, and the, chemical wise, you have to have room temp ingredients. The oven has to be a certain degrees. The pan has to be hot. All that has to happen in order for it to puff. And if you have any of that wrong, it's not going to work, or the measurements are off to liquid to dry, all that kind of thing. But once you get confident about something, then you can really fly and experiment and riff off stuff, and then it's really fun.
Yeah. And so what if it doesn't work?
There's that.
Yeah.
There are no food police that I'm aware of yet.
Yes.
Yet, please vote.
I think that's on the list.
Yeah.
It's on Project 2025.
Yes,
Food
I know.
police.
Oh, yeah, I know. I think it's number 82, but it's still there.
So I hate to ask you to play favorites, but if you were to make a 3-course meal based on these recipes alone, which would be the 3 recipes you would go to just right away?
Like can't live without.
Yes, exactly. Like
That's really hard.
the desert island items that you would want.
I can't help it. The meatloaf is really good. The meatloaf is really good, and it makes a great sandwich, and you can just put eggs in it, eat it. I mean, it's a million things. The meatloaf's really good.
Are you only gonna pick one thing?
I
This
don't
is
know.
like 3 courses of meatloaf.
I don't
think
even
that-
know if it's possible for me to pick one, but I love all of those dishes, and I've also made Debriana's dishes too, and I love all of them, so it's hard, but like for me, probably, I just made the beef bourguignon that's in there the other day in the slow cooker, and it was divine, I have to say. It didn't take as long as Julia Child. But, God, I mean, I don't know, I love my mom's lemon bars.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
I know, we are gonna be on Fox 5 tomorrow, and we had to come up with 3 things to make. Yeah. Good day, DC. Yeah, good day, DC. So we made, the harissa chicken, the ginger brownie bites, and the red chili honey biscuits.
Buttermilk biscuits.
That's a 3-courser.
Yeah, that was a good, I mean, they're all so, they're all connected to these stories too, where like, you know, the angel food cake that I have in there was the birthday cake that, my mom made our entire life for her birthday. I have that every single year. I make it now. I love it. I could eat the whole thing.
That's the other thing about the comfort food aspect of
Yeah.
it, because
Yeah.
I think food generates memories. Like
Yes.
you can eat something like angel food cake and have an immediate memory of something that was fun from 30 or 40 years ago,
Yeah.
from your childhood.
It's funny, Bob, we have people that don't cook, that buy the book and just love the stories. Like, they don't even cook the food.
They should try though.
Yeah, that's really
They should try it.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that we were talking about before this event started is the photography in the book. Panina did an incredible job. She is a professional when it comes to food photography, am I correct?
Shout out to Panina Meisel.
Yeah.
So, Panina, oh my God, what a little like brightly little superpower lady that woman is. She is a queen. She had an incredible food photography career. She shot for Julia Child, Jacques Pepin, all the William Sonoma books, just a massive amount of cookbooks. And so she became a member of Corona Kitchen, and she contacted us and she was like, hey, when you guys do your cookbook, I want to shoot the photos. And we were like, what? Really? And we thought we'll never be able to afford to. And so it was about, 1/16 her normal fare.
So she had moved to Santa Fe, and she just finished building in her house a professional kitchen. So we all hunkered down. It was still COVID.
Yes.
So Lisa's cousin is a food stylist in California. She zoomed in. She told us exactly how to do everything.
Natalie
I guess it's not the same
Natalie
process.
dropped me, folks, in LA if you need a good food stylist.
Yeah.
It's a slightly different process, isn't it? You have to treat the food differently so it photographs well.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
something that you-
Yeah, we learned so much. We had to make 3 of everything. And then the set was tiny, like everything's tiny. It was in this tiny little box. All the props are tiny.
Which is like a little light box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So she could control all the light from all the sides. And so we had these tables of like props that were tiny. Like, oh, I have a tiny little rooster. Maybe that could fit in there. And like all of it was crazy. We had a blast. We just had a great time.
If you like dollhouses, it's really great work.
That's right.
So I have to also do shout out for that to my sister Holly.
Yeah.
Lucas Alkali, she has a business, Holly's Homegrown in Northern California. She got in a car during COVID, drove with her daughter Bella, my niece, 1,200 miles to help us with the shoot because we couldn't get anybody because of the pandemic. David, Morse, Ronan, my son, elder son, they're just all,
It's like 7 of us.
everybody just like, and you learn these things like, oh, so all those magazine food photos and cookbook photos, okay, they're so manipulated. Like you paint with, olive oil or different things. We can't give away all the secrets.
Yeah.
But it was fascinating. I've experienced anything like it.
It was super fun. And a lot of the photos in there are also just ones we took with our phones.
It was very scrappy.
Sometimes those can be great photos,
Yeah.
depending on the circumstances.
Yep. So some of it was that, and some of it was Panina. It's Panina also, we were goofing around, and I'm like, let's dress up like American Gothic our way. So Lisa and I showed up, me in my overalls, and Lisa in her little dress, and Panina took pictures of us, and she goes, I think these should be the chapter openers. And she was the one who came up with the idea for all the chapter openers.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Such wonderful work.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, she's amazing. Yeah.
I actually know 7, I think, of the celebrity
I know,
contributing
we
chefs.
coached you, Stephanie, we did.
House Bards, David Ferguson from my show contributed a recipe. Carl Frisch, the Frangela duo,
Yep.
are in there too.
Frangela.
Yeah, Frangela, exactly.
Frangela.
Is there any one of them who surprised you in terms of their prowess when you were shooting Corona Kitchen? Their chef prowess, like, wow, this guy or this woman should be doing this professionally. Like, this is really. This is a disaster.
That would be enough.
No, and Hal made a quiche, but then he drank like 8 raw eggs.
Wait a second. Hal drank 8 raw eggs.
Yeah, honest to God.
On a
he did.
dare? What, did you pay him to do that? What?
He does that every day, Bob.
Is he Rocky? What is?
I know, I think he thinks he is.
Oh, you know what?
You know they make protein powders now. I mean, you don't have to.
He swears by it.
House Parks is so funny. We worked at E at the same time. We used to park our cars next to each other, which is really random. But, you know, Dana Goldberg had a really
She
great
did.
spaghetti squash dish.
Oh, yeah.
Dana
Hers
did,
was
that's right.
delicious. And also, Rocky Mountain Mike, didn't he make like a tuna or something, or a salmon?
Salmon, he made salmon.
He made
salmon. And he
But are
did
they
it.
chefs? No. But they're really nice people, like yourself.
And see, I knew better than to try to prepare something because you'd be like, yes, I'm gonna go do a drum solo in front of Alex Van Halen. That is not a smart thing to do. I'm not gonna try to prepare food in front of experts. So I just said, no, I'm just gonna say stupid things. Leave it up to the professionals. Were there any disasters in the course of either doing Corona Kitchen or doing the book or
Oh
both?
my God.
That
Oh boy.
where you just, oh my God, what is this awfulness? It looks like the hornet creature from Star Trek. What, I don't know what I'm eating.
Oh, well, when I made vegetable lasagna, I cut my finger and I didn't want to stop making it. And people were like, it was like that Saturday Night
It's
Live.
the Julia Childs sketch.
And people are going, shouldn't she get a Band-Aid? And I'm like,
It's
David,
just
get me a
spoiled.
Band-Aid. I'm cutting.
If you look up the vegetable lasagna episode on our YouTube channel, it is so funny. We were so delirious. Gabrielle and I was like losing consciousness. We started going into like Bronx accents. We were like, let's go this. Come on, get a Band-Aid.
Because you're bleeding to death,
You know, like
is that why?
we were just going crazy and like, stop bleeding. You gotta stop the bleeding. Things like that happen all the time.
Well, Lisa, when we usually get on our platform about 20 or 30 minutes before the show, and we, talk about stuff, we're prepping and everything, and Lisa goes out to get the KitchenAid, and she put the KitchenAid on a top shelf. Don't ask me why, don't do that.
They're heavy.
They're heavy. And all of a sudden, she's off the camera, and I hear, crash, crash, bang, bang, crash, crash, bang. I'm like, Lisa, are you okay? And she goes, I dropped the KitchenAid. I think it fell on my head.
And then I had a shot of bourbon and we did the show.
I'm like, if Lisa's a little loopy, it's because she had some bourbon before the show.
But see, that's the thing. When you don't cook, you put the appliances on top of the refrigerator. You don't use them. I have since moved it to the bottom shelf. It's all good. But you just were learning. We're having fun and we're just rolling with it.
Yeah.
It was those early days, and they're all on YouTube if you want to see them.
Yeah, they're all crazy. One time, the angel food cake didn't work.
Oh God,
And for some God unknown reason, it didn't work. So her son was like, just make trifle, Mom. And it worked out. I mean, it's just like there's things you could do. Those are things that happen in the kitchen. So we just sort of, everybody was in our space. So you could see everything that was happening. I burned myself, like all kinds of things can happen in the kitchen. It's
That's one
dangerous.
of the best things about doing a live show is you never know what's going to bleed out on the show. Literally speaking.
Hopefully
And you
not
never know,
you.
if you're doing a live show, you might need a tourniquet.
Hopefully not the chef officially. But, yeah, no, I mean, we were just really real and really ourselves and, you know.
Forever reminding people to please vote. Because everything is political. Everything. Honestly, I think that the misconception that you can separate politics from anything is a complete misconception.
Okay.
Everything is politics, and when you don't use that voice, you are subjecting yourself to the will of others by not using your voice. So it's just ultimately important that that in this particular election, which we've heard for years is the election of our lifetime, but honestly, we are at the end of the road with that now, people. So please, please do what you can to vote, bring other people to vote, register people to vote, and talk. Talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, talk to people with whom you don't agree, because the change will come person to person.
Also, you know, we knew we had a platform, whether we had 15 people watching or 5,000, and I think, you know, I think we surprised a lot of people. I think they looked at us and like, oh, they're just these two ditzy people up there doing a thing. But
Bleeding to death.
actually, almost every show we've given some kind of political shout out, whether it was what was happening in the world that day, or we were again having our feelings, like the day that, you know, Roe v. Wade was overturned, so to speak, or, you know, people were not getting vaccinated or got, you know, whatever the case may be, what happened in, you know, different legislative sessions in different states and all, like everything every day. And then it was just something that we connected on always, Debrianna and I. Like you said, we used to meet each other when we were working all the time at marches, you know, we were just pissed off friends, you know, and we found comfort in our like-minded thinking and, you know, especially our political beliefs and morals.
Yeah, it's so important to take care of yourself. I think, like I always hear Rachel Maddow say, you know, rest up, you know, take a breather and then get ready to fight.
I know my husband says I lost my wife to Trump. But in some ways it's true, but in some ways I'm like, but it's easy for you to be in a place where you're not as connected. Every right I have is being taken from me. They want to take away my right to vote. They're openly saying it. Women shouldn't have the right to vote. I mean, that's crazy. So like, and not for me, but for the people that are coming up behind me. The people who fought so hard for us to be where we are now. So, you know, for me, it's I live and breathe politics. I always have. And I live and breathe the politics of food. Like I remember my grandmother saying to me that when saccharin came out, don't eat that. It's not real. We didn't eat margarine. She was just like I said, eat everything that's real in moderation and you'll be fine. So the politics of that has always been in the forefront of my mind.
I have the background of my mom's family at one point had the largest organic farm in the United States in the early 80s. They since lost that. But at the time when they did, I remember, you know, my family fighting in Washington for the Organic Foods Act and to not have our food be poisoned and to have some consciousness about it. And I know, you know, you can't find organic everything, but, you know, that's progress and that's politics and that's how we spend our dollar and, you know, the consumer demanding, you know, what we want to eat. We just want it to be clean, you know, when we garden, not using, you know, chemicals and learning about the balance of nature and all that stuff, you know.
I just remember.
What am I talking about? Where I'm sorry.
No, I just remember we were teaching people because you couldn't get anything, how to take a scallion, and you know it has those like hairy things on the bottom called roots. So when you cut off the scallion, you can take those hairy things called roots and put them in the dirt and regrow the scallion.
Seeds are amazing.
Yeah, seeds, the seeds inside the tomato are seeds.
Really?
Actually,
Is that-
the seeds of a strawberry, you can grow strawberry. Okay?
I had no idea.
See?
So weird, right?
We're just figuring all this stuff out. But we could feed
Science,
ourselves. We
it's
could feed
cool.
ourselves from our backyards if we wanted to. Like, it's really fascinating stuff.
So what's next? What's the next chapter for Wasted Beauty?
I called, somebody said, hey, yeah, it's WB. I said, if it worked for Warner Brothers, it could work for us.
Okay, who would like to have a second book? We were thinking maybe cocktails,
Cocktails and
cookies, and
cookies.
Hollywood stories.
Yeah.
Okay, focus group. Yeah.
I don't know. We're definitely another book.
Yeah, well, when we wrote this one, we actually overwrote it by twice. We turned in the manuscript and the editor goes, you've written 2 books, you need to cut it in half.
So you've already got the second album.
Yeah, right, I know. We did it. So I don't know, we'll see what happens. Let's sell this one, people.
Anything's possible. And again, I say, if you have a dream, we certainly just stuck with it. Many, many pitfalls and on the road to getting here and hurdles, but we just always believed in it. We believed in each other, and we just did it. And you can do it too.
So I just, in that vein, we are going to be at the IPPY bookstore and the Bird Cafe there. We're going to Philly, Head House Books. We're going to New York City at Fishesetti. We're just, follow our tour. If you know people in the cities that we're going to, please ask them to come. West Hartford, Boston, Kennebunk, and Portland, Maine.
Do you want to take any questions?
Oh, sure, yeah. You guys-
Does anyone have any questions for Debriana and Lisa?
Kevin.
Actually, I'm gonna go out with my.
All right, you go ahead. Nobody can miss Bob. He's giant. He's a giant.
Thank you. Testing. Oh, boy. Catch my mic. My voice is loud enough as it is, so it reverberates and check that crowd. Hi.
Hi.
Already on your side is any friend of Stephanie Miller, a friend of mine. She's been very, very good to me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask now, what made you, especially you said that you previously were behind the camera, so to speak. You were presenting scripts, so on and so forth. What was it like transitioning to in front of the camera, one? And two, because I want to do something like you guys do, what got you over the hump of actually trying? Because I have very tender feelings. I know that no one has 100% approval rating. So what made you get off over the hump of, oh my God, someone's gonna call me out my name, and just do it? And how did you
Try being an actor. It's no all the time.
Okay, that's a really good question. Well, first of all, what you don't know about me was,
I think the battery's dead now.
that's very good. Just my luck, it would happen on that question. So one of the things about me is, yes, I've been behind the camera most of my career, but I did start as an actor in my youth. And I got really discouraged. Sorry. I got really discouraged doing it in my early 20s and whatever, because I wasn't what they wanted. So I was like, F this, I'm going behind the camera. And it was a love of mine, and I studied it, and I did it in school and did plays and all that stuff. And I thought, well, maybe someday I'll come back to it, or probably not. And that was another thing that Debriana and I had in common, where in my 40s, I went back into acting, actually have an agent and do things, but I do it more on my own terms, like a character actor, and it really helped my writing to study with really good people, get training, whatever, and I would suggest that if you want to do that, and I wouldn't even think about this really as acting. I was like, we're just playing ourselves, and it's a little box, I just was like, nobody's watching this, and so I just put that in my head, and then when people started like pouring in, I was like, oh shit, I better, I don't know, but we never really put on like an act or anything. It's really just us, but then playing a part, that's a whole different, kettle of fish. So I would suggest, find a really good class, with reputable improv is essential. Like join a great improv group, and you'll just learn amazing skills and become more comfortable with people throwing things your way, and not freezing. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I've been an actor for, I don't know, 152 years now, and worked on stage and in all kinds of, from off Broadway to theater I do now, and television and film, and so hearing no and getting rejected and having people say all kinds of things to me, like my own dad, wasted beauty. You just get used to it. If you don't have a thick skin or develop one, this isn't for you. So that's really the truth of it. You have to have a thick skin. You can't care about what everyone says, and especially even when you're writing. Like when I was working on my solo show, I did a focus group. I read my script. There were people that said all kinds of things. Like my friend was like, "Oh my God, they're gonna hurt her feelings." It didn't. It's your opinion, and if it works, what you said, if I can pull a grain of truth out of it, that I can figure out how to, match that or correct it or whatever. If it sparks me, it inspires me, then I'll take in what you're saying. But you're entitled to your own opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
The other thing is, if you do a collab with someone else too, that takes a lot of the pressure off as well. Not as scary when it's just you. When it's just you, that is quite scary to take that on, right, Bob? And you know what I mean? And got your name on it. It's just you, and you know what I mean? And that's totally nerve-wracking. I validate that. But I think you can do anything with practice.
Yep.
You start to believe in yourself, and get your people around you, do a little show, rehearse, take some classes. You'll get the confidence. You will.
I have, must be 1,000 shows that no one will ever see because I've deleted them all. So early things, don't worry about being perfect or being the best in the world or getting the greatest number of comments or downloads or whatever. Just do it and stop and don't even think about the audience. Just think about what feels good to you and proceed that way. So I think that's the best way to do it. Yeah. Anyone else have a question? Question or two?
You don't have to.
You don't have to. So.
Okay.
I just have to say that I think you need to be in their next cookbook, and you need to have a recipe that has something to do with man meat. It's obvious,
Stephanie would argue that a yam has to somehow be a part of that recipe. Inside joke.
Yeah, I think man meat's a thing. Anyone else? If you don't have a question or comment?
I was just going to ask briefly, are you going to be maybe on, speaking of politics and food, maybe on Tucker Carlson's show? Alex Jones?
Go ahead, Bob, do it.
Macaroni and cheese, the American state.
I don't know about that. It's good that the microphone stopped working because I was going to do the Alex Jones voice.
Yeah, do it.
No. I don't want everyone to leave. The people on the other side of the glass are there. What's going on in there?
Yeah.
I mean, Deborah and I are definitely on the list. So I don't think we would ever
They wouldn't invite us. Yeah, they wouldn't invite
But it's really interesting doing media and being on these TV shows and what they ask you and talk about a panic like tomorrow, for example. I'm used to being on the other side, and you have 4 minutes we have to cook the food, we have to talk about the book, we have to be charming, and look at the camera, and it's like, so the acting training comes in handy.
Yeah. Anyone else? We're happy to sign books. Please buy them.
Yeah.
Okay, question. Oh, wait, one more question, one more question. Sure.
What's the best thing you've ever eaten?
Any kind of pizza. I think pizza is my favorite food. My favorite pizza is clam and garlic pizza that I used to get in upstate New York, and I would eat that cold. I love pizza.
There's a great recipe in the book for, is it fried dough pizza?
Fried dough pizza.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was for Buzz.
That was with Buzz,
Yeah,
yeah, for my Tuesday show.
This pizza that's in the book, that's Brianna's family, you can either fry the pizza or make it in the oven. So I have never made pizza the same again since she made it on the show for like 3 years now. I've probably made it 100 times, no exaggeration. My kids are like, make the pizza. They don't even want to go out to pizza. Like, we make Brianna's pizza. And I'm like, okay. But I really can't give up salted cured meats.
Oh my God, and I know cheese. I live for cheese.
Yeah,
I often eat cheese for lunch, like cheese. Just cheese.
we both do. I'm Croatian, so we like live off of olive oil, kind of an oily go-home. I put olive oil in my
Coffee,
creamer, in my
coffee.
and it's like, it's weird, but it tastes really good. You get the polyphenols. I love olives.
I got obsessed because Starbucks came out with that oleato coffee, and I'm like, olive oil in the coffee? Are you kidding me? And so I don't often go there, but I was with a friend, and he pulled up and he's like, do you want anything? And I was like, okay, give me a small oleato. And he goes, what kind of milk do you want? And I said, well, I don't know, what do you serve it with usually? They said oat milk, and here's us, we're the half and half queens.
We're cream and half and
Half and half, all and everything. So I'm like, all right, give it to me the way you do it. So he did it, and I love it. I love it. Now I've started doing olive oil coffee at home.
This is, by the way, a prank. This doesn't actually exist. It's a joke. You don't actually put oil in your coffee.
It's delicious.
Wait a minute, this is true. This is real.
No.
Oh, it's
No,
super
Bob,
good.
you
Bob,
take-
you gotta try it. Okay, listen, you have to use really, really, really good olive
So
oil.
you take
You
the.
can't use Kirkland's, like, or even the organic olive. No, you have to get very
High-end.
good high-end olive oil. It makes a difference. And the polyphenols are good for you. It slows down the absorption of the caffeine, so you don't go like this and like that. And it's very satisfying, honestly. And the oat milk is Oatly, that full-fat Oatly, phenomenal.
And they're not sponsored, but they could be.
Oatly.
Starbucks, whoever. No, but you take, okay, so this is something that changed my life. So my producing partner, Sarah Gardner, got so sick of me taking a whisk and going like this to make my, cappuccino latte thing at home. She's like, I'm gonna do you a favor. There's a thing. It's called Nespresso foamer. It's gonna change your life. And it did. And it has a lifetime guarantee.
Yeah.
But anyway, Nespresso, another sponsor. So you put the oat milk in there, you put like a teaspoon of really good olive oil, turn it on, and it is like the creamiest, most amazing, non-dairy latte situation.
I highly recommend it. I'll tell you a little Hollywood story right now. I was personal assistant to Willem Dafoe when he was working on Dead for a Dollar in Santa Fe. I got a call and they're like, please, can you do this? It was, COVID still. And I was like, okay, I like him. And I want to tell you, he's one of the nicest people walking the planet. He just is a doll. I had a blast with him.
Willem will be in New York if you're in town.
Please come to see us. Anyway, he had gotten, the only thing he asked for in his room was an espresso machine. And when he left, he couldn't take it with him, so I took it. And so now it's affectionately called the Willem Dafoe.
There's more of that. There's more. The next book.
Yeah. There is.
Anyone else? Going once? Going twice? I think that's it.
Double question?
What?
I didn't want to take any of the time,
Oh,
so
go ahead.
anyone else ask me a question?
Oh, one more.
yes.
In the back. In the back.
Desserts.
Favorite dessert.
Favorite desserts?
Desserts.
Oh, I know. Okay, so in the book, there is a sea salt caramel chocolate mousse. It's pretty damn good. I gave it to my cousin Tatiana when she was pregnant, and she ate a whole thing of it in like 20 seconds.
Olive oil in it?
No olive oil. I actually really love the salted tahini chocolate chip cookies.
So good.
Yeah, so, yeah, they're really.
That sounds gross.
It's actually incredible.
Yeah, they're amazing. There's a funny story in the book that goes with this.
There's something that people don't know about Dr. Brianna, although I think I did say it in one of the stories. She is a cookie master. Every Christmas, I can't believe she does this. She makes about 30 different types of cookies. She puts them in tins for a very select few people. If you're in the audience, you know. And it's like, they're just heaven, they're unique, and maybe that's gonna be the next cookbook because we have a lot of cookies.
But my husband decided one year, I've been doing that all my life, I've always made cookies, and I thought, it's the thing that I can do to thank people who've helped me do something over the year. And you can't always just buy gifts, and I thought, I'll just start making cookies, and I've done it my whole life, and I just make them and make them and make them. My husband's like, how many do you make? I'm like, I don't know. So he counted them one year, and there were 1,700 cookies in my kitchen. It was just absurd. But I don't really, and here's me, I ate 3. I don't really eat sweets that much, but I do enjoy cooking.
So that's why your cameraman lived in your kitchen.
That's
because,
correct, that's correct. Oh, well, my husband.
12,000 cookies waiting.
I wooed him with a chocolate cake. That was how I wooed my
That's a great
husband.
story.
Chocolate cake.
That's a great story.
Anyway.
Anyone else?
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, clearly you've got a lot on your plate now, even just down the ground, seems like a lot on your plate. Besides your cooking endeavors, if you will, do you have any other program, even possibly a different subject or a different topic that you have coming up for sure, or that you would like to do? And also, I hope you consider this a compliment, but you keep reminding me of the pretty woman actress. Julia Roberts. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wow, nice, nice wasted beauty.
It's like the mannerisms of what kind of just read Julia Roberts. But anyway, did you have any new projects coming up?
Wow.
Should we tell them what the title of it is?
Okay, so we were thinking about doing, Heather Brianna told the story about searching for her family and their lost millions. Maybe we'll do that movie and we would call it
The Secret Sisterhood of the Bucatini.
That's kind of a dream, and we really believe in manifestation, so let's put that out there. We're gonna make that movie. I have a production company in Santa Fe, New Mexico called Like Minds, and we're always developing TV shows, TV series. We have a feature in the works, a children's show in the works, and perhaps I may be doing another indie film sooner rather than later that every single person in this room wants to see.
That's all I can say. That's it.
All right. Sue in Rockville has to have a question.
Come on, Sue.
Well, I think your next book should be politics and pizza.
That's awesome.
And because the truth is, if you go all around the world, pizza exists in one form or another.
It's true. It's
And
absolutely true.
so I think you get to talk about politics because you both are so passionate and brilliant about it, and it needs to be said. You know, and we need more women, no offense, Bob. Now, you had Jody on Thursday, so, you know, you definitely covered the spread.
And who has Kimberly?
And Kimberly.
Kimberly who has a podcast.
Yes.
Yay, Kimberly.
I just think it is, you know, I made a decision 21 years ago to stop working for other people. And we started a home of a virtual bookstore. And we are responsible to us. In fact, Peter's an excellent employee. And
Hasn't been fired yet.
Not when he's been laid off during COVID. No, I think I told him. He's not allowed on Stephanie, he's not allowed on the show. She's like, oh, put Sue on. No, I think what you're doing is so essential because I don't say this in any demeanor, you're at a perfect age, you are truly in your prime. You're in your prime beauty, you're in your prime knowing yourself, and whatever you're doing, I think it's really gonna be successful, and I truly admire that. Besides old, and I'm on the other side of it, but I do think taking a risk and starting doing something that you're passionate about, if you can manage it financially, this turned into the most gratifying thing we've done. Even though our kids told us we were crazy and demanded we stop, as usual, they ignored us, we ignored them.
Perfect advice.
Yeah, they'll blame you and you'll blame them, and it's a circle of life.
Yeah, perfect.
But I do think to all the women here especially, take the risk. You know, it is better to always ask forgiveness than permission. Just do it. Because we are not going to let, and I speak collectively, we are not going to let future generations of women have less rights than we have.
Thank you. And I have to give a shout out to our publicist, Katie, who's here. A female-owned publicity company called KT Media Strategies, and she's been an incredible support and just an amazing company to work with if you need a publicist. Please see her.
We'd love it if you'd follow us on our social media. And I want to speak to what you just said, Sue, because it's so important. So our socials are, we're different things on different ones. On Instagram, we're the Corona Kitch. On TikTok, we're Golden Goose Kitchen. On Facebook, we're Golden Goose Kitchen. On YouTube, we're Corona Kitchen. You know, that's our company's Golden Goose, but you can always find it either one on all the things. I just want to say to you, you know, we're supposed to be invisible. After 50 years old,
After 35.
or 35,
Yeah.
we're supposed to be invisible, irrelevant, you know, going out to pasture. And it's really just, we refuse that. We just announced that, and you can own your power, do your thing. We did everything crowdfunding. We didn't have any money. We had zero. We had people like yourself that believed in us, followed us, supported us, friends, family. I mean, we called in every chip we had. And
We're still calling them. We're still calling them.
Still calling in the chips. And it never ends. But, you know, it's just, you know, not wanting to die, really. It's like, I want to live and I want more. And I want my life to be what I want it to be finally. Maybe you were living your life for others or for whatever reason, whatever your circumstance was, or just society. And we're just like, no. We're just like, no to all that. We reject it. We're doing whatever we want. We're going to say our beliefs and
Burn it down.
and stand, burn it down. You're right. Burn it down and do it right.
Good.
That's it. background announcing Lisa Lucas.
Bob Cesca. We're here to sign books. Yeah, we'd love to sign books for you. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you. That's good. Yeah.